Fifth Ward was very much a political hotbed, a very cohesive community where you could get a block of votes and it would follow you to run for political office. So Barbara ended up growing up in a middle class, upper middle class African-American community, her father being a minister. She's very respected and taught to have a clear respect for the rule of law and religion.
She was a very intelligent person, a scholar in every measure of the way, very knowledgeable in areas of law, and had excellent people skills.
And no one could doubt her intellect. Nobody could doubt the way she was able to articulate issues and really command issues.
She sharpened her tools while she was a member of the Texas State Senate, but those tools were pretty sharp for Barbara Jordan when she was in high school in Houston.
She went to Phyllis Wheatley, and same as I, she was ahead of me, but she was same Barbara Jordan, very serious, very concerned, very stern, and no frills type thing. She used to do at the assemblies, they would always have her speaking because she was so eloquent.
The one thing I liked about her is that she worked across the lines to get things done. It didn't matter which party you were in, it was the idea she had and what she wanted to accomplish.
She was doing what men do and what white folks did at a time when she was black and a woman, and black and being a woman wasn't an accepted place of power.
I can recall becoming a state senator, and one of the first persons I sought out for advice was Barbara Jordan. She made it very clear that, you know, the job I have here in Austin is not to, not just me, but persons who are legislators. The job that we have here is not for self-fulfillment, but to make certain that we serve the people.
I do remember as a girl growing up in Fifth Ward, I had the opportunity to hear her speak, and of course she was a very dynamic speaker. Everyone wanted to be like Barbara Jordan or to be in the arena where she was.
Who couldn't be influenced by Barbara Jordan and her brilliant career and all of the things that she did, both here in the state of Texas and later in the Congress.
While serving in the state Senate, Barbara Jordan convinced the legislature to repeal the Texas law requiring segregated burials in cemeteries as well as other segregation laws. Jordan was able to win approval for the state's first Fair Employment Practices Act, which made it unlawful for employers or labor unions to discriminate against employees on the basis of race, color, gender, or creed. During this time, the legislature passed another act that encouraged employers to hire handicapped persons. Jordan was responsible for legislation that increased the minimum wage in Texas to $1.25 an hour and passed legislation to increase teacher retirement benefits.
To me, she was truly a forerunner and a groundbreaker, not only for African-American women, but for women, period, in politics in Texas.
Being the first female and only female in that body, she had to learn how to operate in an environment where people didn't know her, probably didn't fully appreciate her, and she did it very well.
In 1972, Barbara Jordan was elected to the U.S. Congress, representing the 18th Congressional District, which is northeast Houston. She worked hard on civil rights issues and soon rose to national prominence by serving on the Judicial Committee's impeachment hearings of President Richard Nixon during the historic Watergate investigation.
Barbara Jordan was just a phenomenal legislator, and I can remember from the time that I was 10 years old watching her during the Nixon hearings and thinking, wow, what a voice, what an intellectual person. That's someone that I would like to be like, and such an ethical person as well.
For me, the most defining moments with Barbara Jordan was as I watched her and her performance during the Watergate hearings.
Earlier today, we heard the preamble to the Constitution of the United States. We the people. It's a very eloquent beginning. But when that document was completed, I was not included in that we the people.
Clearly her ability to make her point, to orate. I mean, a tremendous, booming, godlike voice, and a keen intellectual appreciation for the Constitution, and an ability that very few people have, to take very complex subjects and make them understandable by common people.
May I now present our second keynote speaker, the Honorable Barbara Jordan, Democrat of Houston, Texas.
In 1976, Jordan delivered the keynote address at the Democratic National Convention and again at the 1992 Democratic Convention.
We are a people trying not only to solve the problems of the present, unemployment, inflation, but we are attempting on a larger scale to fulfill the promise of America. We are attempting to fulfill our national purpose, to create and sustain a society in which all of us are equal.
Barbara Jordan's speech at the Democratic National Convention was certainly a historic first because she was an African American giving the keynote speech.
She seems to have won the hearts and the minds of the people of the United States of America. And a lot of people wanted to see her run for be a vice presidential candidate.
Some people are born with greatness, and I think that she was one who was born to greatness.
Barbara Jordan suffered from a debilitating illness and eventually retired from Congress. Confined to a wheelchair, she returned to Austin and became a professor at the University of Texas. In 1994, she was awarded the Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian award. Barbara Jordan died in 1996, a private citizen with a very public name. President Bill Clinton delivered the eulogy at her funeral. She was buried at the Texas State Cemetery in Austin, the first black person to be buried there. Following Barbara Jordan was Mickey Leland, also a product of Houston's Fifth Ward.
The late Congressman Mickey Leland and I grew up together. We met in daycare when we were 2 years old, and we had been friends. We went all through elementary school, through junior high school, through Wheatley High School, and then Texas Southern University.
Mickey Leland was a different sort of personality than Barbara Jordan, but both were acutely interested in representing their districts.
I worked for Mickey Leland when I was in school at Howard University, and no doubt about it, Mickey was a catalyst for many people looking at elected office because of how he did it. I mean, you know, Mickey showed that somebody could be themselves with an afro and a dashiki and actually represent their constituency.
The persona probably did not represent the real Mickey. It was the real Mickey was a person behind the scene who was ready to negotiate and to work out deals that would, and when I say deals, that's in a good sense, or to negotiate issues such that it would be better, not only for those in his district, but for those throughout the state of Texas.
He stood out in a lot of ways and did as much as he could to be as outlandish as possible when he first went into the State House to stand out even more. And then found a way to make people who were diametrically opposed to everything he stood for, he found a way to make them like him.
He laid the groundwork for many young African Americans that desired to engage in public service at this level.
Like Barbara Jordan, Mickey Leland served in the Texas legislature and then was elected to the U.S. Congress.